Great to meet you, Matthew. It's lovely to finally get to see you. How do you feel about being a Mission 89 ambassador? And what was your reason behind joining the organization?
First off, thank you very much. It's a very big pleasure to have you on board as well. And when I was told that, oh, you're part of this program and Sadomani and the rest of them, I was like, wow, good. I've seen you play. I followed you up a bit, and you know the rivalry between Nigeria and South Africa always always means that uh, as a media person, we're going to look out for every South African player and know who's going to cause us problem. We definitely are going to be playing against each other for the rest of our lives. So on that front, I've seen you, and thank you for joining the program. For me, I think that this Mission 89 represents what I believe in. I was once a victim of sports trafficking, if that's the word now, or dubious agent, and I was dropping Cape Verde. I was still a teenager at the time, and it cost us a whole lot. My parents, my mom, and that for me was the reason. I was just doing what I was doing. Like I should try as much as possible to educate other people and make sure they don't fall victim like I did. And out of the blues, Mission 89 came in. And before Mission 89, I've had other people come to talk to me about this or that. But then they were not really straight. They were more people who wanted to just hear story and get into the sensational side of life. But then Mission 89 came in with a perfect plan, two kids, everything that is needed. And they also were going to deal with the legalities and get the associations on board. And I said to myself, I would love to be part of this. And so when the offer came in for me to become an ambassador, I think it was a dream that just came into reality. Like, wow, okay, now I'm an ambassador of this cause. I'm fine. It's something I can do for the rest of my life.
I heard that you, and I think you also mentioned in one of the first few things that you mentioned about yourself and your journey, how you were a victim and of trafficking while you were preparing for a professional football career. How did that change your life, and what did you take from that experience?
Well, in terms of changing my life, is the fact that it took 1 year off, but then it also exposed me to other people, the culture, also made me understand that thing that they see, all that glitters is not gold, because the fact that somebody looks good, drives a big car, comes in with a picture that now we know that it's Photoshop. So comes with a picture that could be photoshopped with him and Arsene Wenger or Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, doesn't necessarily means is with that person. So it also gave me a reason to believe in myself and to fight hard and then to read more. I was ignorant, and my mom too, and everybody around me was ignorant. There was just that excitement of, oh, our son is going to go abroad and play football. So whatever it takes, it was all or nothing. Whatever it takes, let's grieve it, even if it means that they are going to kill us, but let him go abroad. But then now I know the rules. I know the fact that agents do not have to take money from you. You have to be over 18 to even be able to travel in the first place. And then you don't pay agent money, because as a football player, you are an asset, not a liability. You're not a problem he's trying to solve. You are a product he's trying to sell. It is his business to create the means to the market and all of that. So I get to find out now very late anyway, but I use that as a tool to educate young people. I'm working a whole lot in grassroots. My media outfit, for instance, is something that is dedicated 90% to grassroots, educating grassroots club owners, coaches, and players, because we still see the same problem repeat itself. Yesterday, I was trying to deal with one, in such situation. So the thing that has happened to me have not made me bitter, but it has made me better, because I've learned from it, and then I'm using it now to help other people.
What advice would you have for young athletes who might be vulnerable to trafficking?
Okay, I think one of the problems that we have, especially in western part of Africa, is the first layer of the problem is poverty. Poverty makes everybody vulnerable. Poverty makes everybody believe any story. Poverty is partly responsible for what leads to rape, what leads to trafficking, what leads to kidnapping, what leads to armed robbery, and a whole lot. Having said that, information is also a very great illuminator. If you don't have information, there's this thing my friend, a great music star, Timi Dakolo, will say that if you invite me to Johannesburg, for instance,
Yes.
and you don't give me address and you tell me your house is the big red house next to the big tree. When I get down in South Africa, every big red house next to the big tree is your house. And I might spend the whole year looking for Ode's house and not get to see it because I don't have an address. Address is like information and how you use it. I was reading and Wright's book, and one of the chapters is titled Agent from Hell, and it talked about agents out in England, how they use people, how they come to you and tell you all this thing that, oh, we're black, I'll look out for you. But the truth of the matter is that they just want to use you, they want to exploit you. So I think it pays a whole lot for the parents to be informed, because it will be easier for them to pass that same message to their children, their words, and then, knowledge, they say, is power, and more application of knowledge is greater power.
That's brilliant. That's awesome. It's really great to hear. Yeah, I think, it's really important for people to really equip themselves with the right information. And also the younger people also to know what it is that they're getting themselves into, but very important for the parents to really take more responsibilities in knowing more about the field. You have a YouTube channel. What's the name of it?
My YouTube channel is Elegbete TV, Elegbete TV. Elegbete TV. I also have a radio, an online radio, Elegbete TV radio too.
Brilliant. What is the message that you hope to deliver to your audience through your content?
Okay, first off, we are in the part of the world where nobody expects us to be good. So we started this program that is aimed at directly connecting grassroots football, that's amateur football, to the world via our YouTube channel. So we are like the conduit pipe that takes these people, that expose these players directly to the clubs abroad. So we want to create a situation whereby fake agents do not need to come and say, I want to do this. Take, for instance, there's a player that just signed for Amabi. His name is Akikumi Amao. We covered him in the Lagos State FA Cup, in the state, like regional FA Cup, 2 years ago in 2018 and in 2019. And then because of what we did, the documentary we put together of him, because we saw he was very talented, he was invited to the Nigerian under-17 national team. We didn't do well in Brazil, but his talent was good enough to get the attention of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And fortunately, I also played in Sweden for one season before I got injured. So Zlatan Ibrahimovic invited him over to come sign for Hammarby, and he signed and then came back before this whole COVID-19 thing kept them down. That's the kind of opportunity we want to create. It doesn't make us football agents, but what it does is it creates a spotlight on grassroots football. So nobody comes from behind to exploit anybody anymore. There is greater information, there's greater spotlight in you, and all that. And so we also help to put in the right data and statistics so that there's no age cheating. There is a clear definition of who is 17, who is 18, 19, 20, and all that. So that's what we do with our TV.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. That's really, I'll definitely check it out and look at it. It sounds really amazing.
Thank
sounds
you.
Awesome.
I think we both will have to answer this, but let me ask you. Let me ask you this. What is it to be an African player? You played in Malawi.
Yes. For me to be an African player, specifically South African, would be to keep the doors open for other African players and other South African players to be able to walk through after me, to show that we may not have the facilities or the things that the European players grow with, but we definitely have the talents to compete in the highest leagues, and we deserve to be given chances. We deserve to be there and to compete in the highest levels, and hopefully to leave the door open for other African players to have as equal as opportunities that we have, so they could have better futures in their career. Yeah, that's for
For
me.
me, that's a very beautiful response, and I think everybody who follows football needs to listen to this part that you say. For me, to what an African footballer means to me as a player is the guy who is programmed to do 10 times more than every other person. An African football player, from the male perspective, you are expected to do 10 times more, especially if you want to play in Europe in the big leagues. You have to do 10 times more than the other person. Don't see it as demanding for too much, but see it as something that makes you better. If Judge Wade did not work 10 times more, he wouldn't have won the World Footballer of the Year. If Didier Drogba did not put in 10 times more, he wouldn't become a Chelsea legend. If Amokachi did not work 10 times more, he wouldn't have become a star player in Everton, even with few number of games. So also is Sadio Mane, so also is Mahrez, and the rest of the African player, Okocha, Kanu, Lucas Radebe. Talking about Leeds United now, Lucas Radebe was the captain of Leeds United at some point.
Yeah.
If they didn't work hard, if they just came in feeling entitled, they won't be who they are. And then you can push it as far as Zinedine Zidane. He's a Frenchman, but we know he's Algerian. Pogba, Lukaku, N'Golo Kante. These guys realize that, look, I've got to work 10 times harder to have a place here. Wilfred Ndidi, Victor Osimhen, Benedict McCarthy when he played for FC Porto and helped Jose Mourinho to win the Champions League. All of this is one of the things that makes me feel very, very proud as an African football player, because I know that my predecessors before me, they walk the talk. They put in everything, and they seized the moment when it came. And even with their backs against the wall, they were able to work very hard. So it feels good. But then I need to come to you personally now. Let's talk about you personally. I heard you won a scholarship to US while pursuing a career in football. What was the thought process behind going to the university abroad? I mean, you left South Africa, you went to the US.
Yeah, the USA for me, it was mostly the number one thing. It was about pursuing education. Uh, with having parents that were not educated, and I saw how that put them in so much disadvantage. So I knew that having an education will help me to have a better future than what my parents grew up with. Soccer was for me. Soccer was the means to me to getting an education, and it was just a bonus that I was enjoying it, and it was something that I loved, and I was good at it. I was still growing. So for me to be able to use my passion to gain access to my future, or to something that will help me get a better future, was a dream come true. And it was an amazing experience. Like I say this all the time, that I would especially play female players in specifically coming from third world countries, coming from Africa. I would definitely like encourage them to go through the route of getting their education first, get a scholarship, get your education first, and then pursue your soccer. Because we are not in the same boat when it comes to men, in terms of like men, when they retire with soccer, they can retire comfortably because they're getting earned enough that if they're smart enough with their money, that they can save. Females, we are not in that boat, unfortunately. So if if your whole purpose is to just go straight from high school into soccer as a female player, and you don't take any steps in order to get some type of education to set yourself up for after soccer, what you are earning during your soccer career as a female will not set you up to 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 um to live a life that you won't be going backwards after when you're done. So it's really important for female players. Europeans and Americans, they're not necessarily in the same boat as us African female players, because they could, it's just financially, they're in a different, different, because yeah, just they just it's just it's just two different things. Just It's just for us African female players. I always strongly encourage the young girls to go and get your education. After you're done with your education and it's over and done with, you can pursue your soccer with all your heart and soul. And if you do choose to pursue your soccer with all your heart and soul, straight out of high school, in that process, try and get some type of education, online classes, through, don't just only focus on soccer alone, because it's gonna end. One injury can end it, and eventually it's gonna end. And we don't get paid millions in order, in a way that we can live comfortably, or build a business with the money that we're earning at the end of soccer, when you have absolutely no education. So yeah, so that was my main purpose for wanting an education above all else. And once I got that, and I was able to pursue my soccer, freely, with no hesitation, with nothing holding me back. To be a professional footballer to being a sport analyst and journalist, uh, was that transition hard, or have you always known that it can be an alternative path?
The funny thing about my life, I'm 43 now. I'm going to be 43 by December, but it's something that I was doing some retrospective thinking a couple of weeks ago, especially during this lockdown. And I realized that what has happened to me all through my life is the fact that I've hiked my way through. Like, okay, I have this plan. I studied engineering in the university, for instance. I read engineering, mechanical engineering,
Mm.
and football happened to me. Football came in. I know I was talented, but that football came in. I managed to get my education and still went to play football. Lost 1 year due to fake agents, and then came back again, finished my school, and then football took me abroad, and I got injured, and then it ended. But once my injury came in and I stopped playing football, the real thing I wanted to do was real estate. I wanted to go into real estate. I I wanted to build small houses and sell it. That was what I wanted to do because I was always fascinated about building houses. I was fascinated about the coming together of brick and mortar and all that, and then all of the design. So I traveled to Italy and I checked the way they build houses in Italy. It was different from how we build houses in Nigeria. So I wanted to do that. But then I found out that I didn't have the funding and I couldn't get access to loans in the banks and all that. So I came back again. I went to Canada, came back from Canada, stayed in Lagos for a while. And then I've always been a radio person. I listen to radio a lot. So I was listening to radio and I was having a conversation. I was driving in my BMW and I'm having a conversation with my friend. His name is Sam. And I told him that I don't like the way these sports presenters and analysts talk about footballers. They don't have all the facts. They just say it from what they see on TV. But what they see on
Mm-hmm.
TV is 25% of what really happens. They don't know
Yeah.
what happens in the dressing room. They don't know what the player is facing psychologically. And every week they come out and start lambasting this player. They want the player to do this and that. And he said to me, this were his words. He said, "What do you mean? Because you play one small football, you think you know everything. These guys are the best sports analysts in the land. They are this, they are that." And I said to him, "Sam, listen, I'm not raining on anybody's parade, but I'm a professional football player. And this thing that they are saying is incorrect. I don't need to be in England to know, but I know that what they are saying is not correct." And it was just funny how I made a bet with him. I said to him that, you know what, I'm going to make a bet with you. I'm going to go on radio and I'll become an analyst and I'll do it better than this guy. And he said, you can't. So we put a 10,000 naira bet on the ground at less than $50 anyway. And we put that bet and I said, you know what, give me 6 months and I'm going to be on radio. This was somewhere in April of 2004. And then I started looking for how to get into radio. I did auditioning and I realized that you have to go for auditioning. I did auditioning in 4 radio stations. They said I was good, but my voice was too feminine. My voice was very tiny. And so I started wondering, what do I need to do? I went to the internet, how to bolden your voice. They say eat, swallow so much food. I did everything within a month because I had to lose. I wanted to win the bet, not for the money, but just to prove the point to him. And it didn't work. And by accident, somebody called me. The former national team goalkeeper was supposed to be on radio, Snippet Arufai, but it wasn't available. And one of the radio stations where I went to do audition called me if I was around. And I was just driving past the radio station at the time to go see my girlfriend. And he said if I was around, I could just come into the studio and be with him because he's alone. And Tarifai was supposed to come. Tarifai is not around. This was August 12th, 2004. And I said, okay, I'm in the neighborhood. So I went in. It was a 10-story building. I climbed in. every time I've been there, there was a lift. But on this very day, it was a Saturday, the lift was not working. And I had to climb 10 stairs, upstairs to the 10th floor. So I
Wow.
went in, I was panting. I had to wait for like 45 minutes. And then I went on air. This was my first time of talking on the microphone on the radio anywhere in my life. And then they started throwing questions, like start throwing questions. What do I think of this game? It was a premiership. There are matches going on. We're seeing it on TV, and then we're talking about it on radio. And I was giving my opinion. Like I was highly opinionated about football. So I was giving my opinion, saying things, what happens. I was not talking tactics. Why this team is playing like this was a Spurs Arsenal game. And the first half was goalless. But I said that in this game, Arsenal is going to win because it is very easy to see. Spurs were keeping a very high line and it's dangerous. And Arsenal have players that can run very fast. What's going to happen in the second half is Arsenal is going to be spreading the ball to the wings. And that's exactly what happened. In the second half of the game, Arsenal won the game 4-2. And it felt like I was a guy who went to the future to see the future and said everything. So my friend was also listening that day. I didn't know. And long story short, I became the toast of time. Facebook was buzzing. Everybody was talking about me. So they called me again and asked me if I want to come in the next day, which was a Sunday. I was like, okay, I'm good. I came in again and I did a crazy job. And that moment was it. So I realized that, okay, now I can do this, but then I need to take it to a professional level. 10 years down the line, I was in the World Cup running commentary alongside Martin Tyler, some of the great commentators in the world, Karen Shabalala. We all were doing this thing in 2014 in Brazil. And when I came back, I was done with radio. I started saying, you know what? I want to start my own thing. I want to become the voice of the grassroots. That thing that deprived me of 1 year, I want to become a voice. Because if I want to do it on radio, the guys at the top will not let it happen. So I want to have my own. So that's how I set up my own place.
That's
Transition
brilliant.
wasn't easy, but I did.
Yeah, that's an awesome. I mean, it sounded like it was definitely like fate
Yeah.
that you were meant to be driving at that time, and you're meant to climb how many stairs to get to your very first. That's so crazy. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh
Okay,
man.
so they say one of the most dangerous entities for young footballers are fake agents. How did you, let's tell the audience, how did you get your own agents?
Well, I think the important before I say how I got, I think the important thing that people have to anyone, both male and female, have to consider, especially when it comes to like agent, is like choosing someone who has a reputation, who someone can speak for that personally, so that then you can at least like so that if anything happens, then you can go back to that someone and be like, hey, you're the person who pointed me to this person, and things don't seem to be because a lot of the times people are taking agents that they have no clue who they are. They have no clue of their reputation, of the players that they've represented, though, and there's no one that can speak for that person in terms of like, I think this guy is a good guy. He has a good reputation. He's a good person. He'll do the right things. So for me, I got mine through my university coach's father. He has a soccer business in America. So he knew of this agent who is in Germany. He's Italian. Who a lot of Americans, when they want to leave America and play in Europe, he's normally the person that they would go to. He represents is represented quite a few top profile American players that and help them to play for big clubs in Europe. So I was fortunate that someone that I knew had a relationship with this guy, was aware of him. So he introduced me to the guy, and said, introduced the two of us and just said, this is this player. I've known her. My son has coached her, and he told me this is this agent. I've known him for a long time, and he's a trustworthy person. So you see, there's some kind of connection. You could speak for the guy. So that's how I made my agent. So I could be at peace knowing that I am going into business with someone who has a good reputation. not only just in the football world, but also just someone that I know. So that's how I was able to go into it peacefully, knowing that I'm going to be treated well because this person is not only just well known, but someone that I know knows him as a person. So that's how that happened, and it worked out for the best. I've been with him for since 2000 and oh, I've forgotten now. Wow. Okay, must have been 2015. Is that 5 years? Oh, 5 years. It seems much.
Yes.
It feels much longer than that. But yeah, I trust him. I have faith in his work, and I know that I have a good relationship with him. He contacts me quite often, so which is always a good thing because some agents they have you in the books, but they never contact you, and you always have to run after them, which has not always been the case with this one. He's a trustworthy and a constant communicator to me. So yeah, so that's in terms of how I met him and my advice in terms of like when looking for an agent, the type of things that you should be looking for and at. Um, yes.
One of the greatest purpose a man, any human being can have, and by man I don't mean male, like by a human being can have,
Yeah.
is to represent their country. And you're also part of the South African female national team, the Bayana.
Yeah.
How did that feel? You know, when you first found out that you were selected, the first selection, how did that feel?
I was always at the thing. The moment I went to Maliga, I knew that year was going to be my year. There was no doubt in my mind that that they would have had to do a lot to keep me off that team. So that from the beginning of that year, I had so much peace about the national team, and I was at peace to whatever was going to happen. Would be what was meant to be. So when I found out that I was selected, because it was everything that I had been working for, and not just being selected for any tournament, but being selected for the biggest tournament in the world it was worth it. It was worth all the struggle, all um, the absence years that I had with the national team. It was worth every single journey that I went through to be at that point, to be able to represent my country at the biggest tournament in the world. It was amazing. Like yeah, but I had peace that that year was going to be my year, and that there was going to be no one or nothing that was going to stop it. So yeah, it was amazing. There's no words to describe it that I could. It was a speechless moment that I just took it in and enjoyed it. But I knew that it was going to come because I knew that was my time. Um, so yeah,
Okay,
so it was, yeah.
before you ask the final question,
Mm.
what was the most difficult game you played for the Bayana?
At the World Cup.
At any level?
Oh, I think the game against Germany was very difficult, because it's just they seemed much more fresher and sharper by the third game, and we were already done by the third game. Just in terms of like the kind of support, and the kind of recoveries that we did was not good enough for that level to keep us sharp and fresh for that third game. So because Germany they just seemed like they were playing like that was their first game, and we were playing like that was like our 10th game, because our legs was extremely heavy. um yeah, our recovering was just not good enough for that level. And it just which just you're already playing against a good team. You've not your recovery leading up to that third game has not been good enough. Um, so we didn't have a lot to give for that game, and it showed in the scoreline, and it showed in the performance, which was unfortunate. Because we was unfortunate. If you look at the scoreline against Spain, the scoreline would tell you that Spain absolutely massacred, which was not the case. Spain were actually lucky to get away with 3-1. They needed a penalty, they needed a red card to get there, and we had a chance to go up 2-0. So it's just the way football works. That's how it was meant to be, and that's how we took it. But the experience itself was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable experience. So yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything, even though given the result, it was still an amazing experience. From your past experiences as a player, a team manager, an analyst, and a journalist, what are some of the difficulties you've witnessed in Nigeria in terms of football development and developing oneself as a professional player?
There is a bucket load of it. On the top of that list is corruption, which is a global thing. But eliminate corruption, then it is the lack of proper information, the lack of proper infrastructure. The thing with Nigeria is the only place in the world in terms of football where the administrator is a lot more important than the players and the coaches. So I wish we could reverse it, because in a proper setting where you develop football, the players are a lot more important, because if you are a businessman, you are an entrepreneur, you know that your product is more important than you. You don't put yourself out there, even though in giving yourself out to your customer, you're giving them an experience, but you can't give them an experience if you don't have a good product. I think that the people who develop football in Nigeria don't think about the products, they just think of themselves. So let's say FIFA is giving us $1 million as a grant to develop women football. You would see executive of the FA take a decision to spend that 1 million that is meant specifically for women football for the main national team, and they will spend it without account, and nothing would happen. You understand? Those are some of the little things. And to wreck a nation or to wreck any organization or any structure, it is the little things that you take for granted that destroys the big package eventually. So I think that one is one problem in the area of administration. Then on the side of the players, the rest of the world is actually like 400 years ahead of us in terms of how football is played. Take, for instance, in Nigeria, we still do not know what vitamins represent in football. Recovery. When you play a game, we still go through natural recovery process, where in Europe and America, in the advanced world, the recovery is enforced by vitamins and technologies and rest and energy drinks and all that that takes care of your body, that make your metabolism work faster and work well. But here we rely on whatever comes, Sarah, whatever will be.
Layer or just rest.
Just rest. Drink a lot of water and rest. So that's not the way it is.
No, definitely. No, we getting there. I know on the national team it's definitely gotten much better. Like we do get the people that are responsible to take over recovery. But like you said, the reinforcement in terms of like you don't have a choice, you have to do this. Because that was the problem at the World Cup, is that it was not reinforced. It was sort of like, depending on how you feel, this is what you can do, and if you're a player who doesn't like ice bath, if you are given a choice, you're not going to do it. But that has long term is going to have a negative effect on your body. So in terms of like the reinforcement, like you said, it's like this: after the game, this is what you're doing, and this is the plan. So So definitely those things could definitely it's just like the small, because sometimes the differences between a good and the best players is just the 1% extra things that
Yeah,
they do, that
that's
it's a
not so.
small margin. Yeah. But yeah, but also as players, also, we also need to take responsibilities, in terms of our own, because I learned a lot also from that. From that experience, I learned a lot that there are certain things as a player that I need to take responsibility in terms of, like, making, even though I hate something, I have to make sure that I do what is, especially if it's going to benefit me in terms of long term. So, and to not run away from it. So I've, we all learn, and hopefully, next time we get to do better.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
sir.
sharing your time and
No,
really
thank
giving
you.
me a greater perspective to what happened at the World Cup and other things that happened. And I just hope that we would keep. There's this thing I say that we talk less in Africa. We focus on the issues that doesn't matter, but we don't talk about the issues that matter. I
That's
think
true.
for us, we should talk about the issues that matters.
Yeah.
Share our experiences so that our
Yes.
experience can help the generations that are coming to be better, not to repeat our mistakes.
No,
Okay, both
definitely.
as professionals, as individuals, so that
Yes.
we get a better universe for everybody. So Africa does not become the part of the world that is dragging the rest of the world back.
No, definitely, definitely, and hopefully soon we'll be leading in some aspects of, and
Yeah.
catch up to the things that the rest of the world are too ahead of us on. So hopefully in time, in time.
All
This has
right.
been awesome. This has been
Thank you
awesome.
so much. It's been
Lovely
great.
meeting. So, how many children do you have?
I have three.
You have three.
You want to see two of them?
Sure. Yeah.
Let me come there.
Yeah.